Can online connections truly match up to in-person bonds? Your next genuine connection could be a virtual hangout away. Grab your favorite human, animal, or plushie and join us for episode 27 of Give a Fuck, presented by Spark Consciousness, as we explore how the right online communities help empower you to level up your impact. As always, I am your host, Sarah Woodard. I am a nature-centric badass dedicated to helping soul-searching, sensitive women feel safe and empowered to change their worlds through connection with nature and their creator of Spark Consciousness. And of course, that is women with an X. The purpose of this show is to help raise your awareness, connect with nature, and discover your purpose. My goal is to present valuable information about how you can define your values, uncover your purpose, and make a difference, and how nature helps you do all of this. Sometimes I also share other resources, as I love to help you continue learning. I've also started an occasional series of bonus episodes called Changemakers, which highlights the ways everyday women just like you have been a force for positive change, and these are just randomly interspersed between the usual bi-weekly episodes. As a quick reminder, the spelling of give a fuck is F*K. And I have a couple of very important shout outs and thank yous this week. First, as always, to my existing Patreon members. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And the other shout outs are actually part of my life update. I need to give a humongous shout out to my friend Tara Linda, who very wonderfully drove the 15-foot U-Haul across the country so that I did not have to tow my car, and I just drove the car with my cats. We had actually a really good time. It was quite a inspirational trip for her, apparently. And you guys, if you've been paying attention to the show, you probably think, oh, she must be in New York now. Yeah, sorry to disappoint you on that one, but as closing drew closer, and I still did not have a deal in place with any bank because I had a signed closing disclosure with a bank, and hours later, they changed their minds because, quote, they didn't like the property. That should not even matter. It has nothing to do with my ability to repay the mortgage. And I just, after everything I had been through with this property in New York already, I just was feeling less and less empowered and more like life was happening to me. And very honestly, and this is going to be a pun, but it's also the very honest truth, when the appraisal came through, it showed me for the first time that the property itself was bisected by railroad tracks. And at that point, I kind of wanted out, but I felt like I was being railroaded into staying the course because I was already that far down the process and nobody said I could get out, and it was what was expected, and yada, yada, yada. And so things continue to happen with this property that were not fun. And like I said, I just felt less and less empowered and more like life was just happening to me and I had no say. And in the meantime, I was also researching like alternatives, like, well, what am I going to do if this sale falls through? Because at that point, I had a drop dead move out date of November 11th. I had no choice. And I really, really didn't know what to do. So I was like, well, I'm just going to find other options. And as I was researching other options, I came up with an idea that didn't come to fruition, but it led me to the Lakes region of New Hampshire. And I've lived in New Hampshire more of my life, I think, than anywhere else. And it's always felt like home to me in some degree, although not in the Lakes region. I had always lived in the more southern part of the state, and the Lakes region is kind of in the middle. But I was like, yeah, like something about Lakes region felt really right. And this is where my second shout out comes in, and that's my friend Chris. I've known him for decades, and he's lived in the Lakes region for longer than even I've known him. He's lived here for like 40 years. And when I was posting on my personal Facebook about what was going on with this house and how maybe I was just going to say screw it and go to the Lakes region, he was like, we would love to have you here, and immediately starts sending me links to houses that are for sale in his neighborhood and this and that. Long story short, I said, you know what? Because I literally found myself praying for this second bank that my broker was trying to get to approve me for a loan. I was literally praying for them to not approve the loan. And I was like, why are you doing that, Sarah? You are an empowered human. You have a voice that you can use. Just say you want out. Yes, there might be some financial consequences to that, but you can still do it. So I did. I said I wanted out. And that was ridiculous because my broker acted like he didn't believe me. My realtor acted like she didn't believe me. And then when she did believe me, she used all these fear tactics to try to get me to say yes. And then she didn't communicate it to my lawyer. And my lawyer calls me to say, oh, we're going to close on the house. And I'm like, well, no, we're not. Once everybody finally realized I was dead serious, that was easy enough to get out of. But in the meantime, here I am in the Lakes region with the kitties. We're staying in a hotel for now. I have already found a house I would like to put an offer on, but I have to give some extra documentation to the bank because when you're self-employed, you take a lot of tax deductions, legally, of course, because you have to pay your own taxes. It's not being deducted from your paycheck. But when you do that, it also sometimes makes it look like you didn't earn enough to actually afford a house, which isn't actually true, particularly in the case of like startup costs that are one-time fees. And so I'm having to provide some extra documentation to the bank before they can get me a pre-approval letter, and I cannot put an offer in on this house until I get a pre-approval letter. But hopefully by the time you're actually listening to this episode, all of that will have been resolved, and I'll be in the process of closing on that house. The Lakes region is amazing and beautiful, and I'm having the best time here, and I'm so glad that I made that choice to say no thank you to something that was not aligned. And I encourage all of you to do that. If you're feeling like life is happening to you and stuff isn't aligned with you, take your power back. Take it back. You have the right to say no. You have the right to say this isn't what I want anymore. You have the right to change your mind. Anyway, that's my life update and my shout outs. I have not had time. I'm still getting myself situated. Like I said, we're living out of a hotel room right now. So I have not had time to go look for any questions that may have been submitted on Patreon. I apologize. I do love all of you guys, and I definitely want those questions. So please do submit them, and I promise I will take a look at them very, very soon. In the meantime, I am going to move on to the Satan of our show, which, as we discussed, is all about virtual hangouts. Now, can we agree that the internet isn't all cat videos and shallow connections? Can we? I don't know. Let's break it down. Do those heartfelt, tear-jerking bonds really need a face-to-face intro? Or can we find some true blue buds online? Well, let's dig into this together and find out. In this episode, I'm going to bust the commonly believed myth that authentic, genuine connections can only be made in person. I'll also share with you how to find supportive online groups that prioritize being real, being supportive, and foster the meaningful connections you're looking for. If you've been looking to connect with other soul-searching, sensitive women with a passion for creating positive change in the world, you may think you have to find groups in your local area. And I get it. That is a pretty good place to start looking. And you're very much not alone in this idea. Many people feel that in-person connections are more real and more genuine. It's a commonly held belief that online relationships can be superficial and lack authenticity. And with all the trolls out there on social media and online groups, it's completely understandable that you'd feel this way. Who among us hasn't been bullied in an online forum? The perceived anonymity of the internet makes it so easy for people to act in ways they wouldn't with in-person communications. Ugh. Unfortunately, limiting your searched in-person groups in your local area is also limiting your ability to connect with the most supportive groups. Particularly in the wake of COVID, more and more communities are meeting online, even if they're based in your local area. Also, online groups will likely include people from outside your local area, maybe even from other parts of the world. And this diversity offers unique perspectives that will help you expand your views and deepen your understanding of both yourself and the challenges you want to help solve. By limiting your search, you're limiting your own growth and impact. The truth is, you can make deep, meaningful connections with like-minded people online. The trick is to find the right communities. This will require you to do some screening and may also mean paying a small monthly fee. But with some effort, you can find supportive communities online. Now, as you may have suspected, these groups often exist outside typical social media, though they may have a social media component to them. They also likely include some sort of a structure, such as monthly meetups, discussion prompts, etc. It's the structure that creates a safe place and enables those meaningful connections within the group. Now, here's an example from my own life. When I lived in Vermont, I joined several online birdwatching groups to try to connect with people. In one group, I was outright bullied. I reported it to the admin, who basically said, "Oh, I know those folks who did that. They didn't mean it." Smack my head. What? I felt completely unsafe being part of that group, and from that point forward, ultimately left it due to that situation and the admin's response. Another group, however, had discussion prompts based on the day of the week. While people certainly could post other things, those prompts helped create a safe place. I was never bullied in that group, and the admin worked hard to ensure the discussions were friendly, supportive, helpful, and on topic. Structure and a caring admin made all the difference. Another thing to look for in your search for a supportive online community is how they interact. Their words, yes, but also, are they only typing to each other, or is there some sort of a video meeting included as well? Having those virtual get-togethers makes the connections more personal. It removes that anonymity factor because you all know each other. You can see that each person is who they say they are and trust that when they're typing to you, what they're saying is real. Now that you know online communities can be supportive and nurture your personal growth, you can expand your search for connection with other soul-searching, sensitive women with a passion for creating positive change in the world to include these types of groups. You can stop struggling to find connections in your local area and embrace the diversity of online communities. You can amp up your personal growth and impact by finding the right virtual community to help support you. Now, don't remain stuck in your search another day. Allow yourself to embrace a supportive online community and allow them to embrace you back. You can find the deep, authentic connections you're looking for in an online community. And you can start today. I invite all of you to join the Soulful Sisterhood. We are a group of soul-searching, sensitive women who are passionate about making the world a better place. Although we come from all walks of life, we are united by our desire to use our voices and our actions to create positive change. Each sister has a say in what our monthly virtual meetups look like, so you can be sure your voice will be heard. In the Soulful Sisterhood, you will find authentic connections with other women who are passionate about making a difference, opportunities to share the causes that are most important to you with the group, and a supportive, safe place to share your thoughts and feelings. If you're ready to take action and make a difference in the world, I encourage you to join the Soulful Sisterhood today. You can click the link in the show notes or find us at sparkconsciousness.net/community. Our virtual doors and arms are always open to welcome another sister. Together, we can make a difference. And once again, that link is in the show notes. It's also sparkconsciousness.net/community. And to help you remember that, my fun little key word for you to remember this week is lakes. You can also find me on social media and on my website. As always, those links are in the show notes as well. I will see you in 2 weeks right here on Give a Fuck, presented by Spark Consciousness, where we will be talking about taking a chance and how to ditch the fear and find your soulful tribe. In the meantime, continue to expand your knowledge, feel the connections, and live with compassion.